Hi-ho silver, fellow armchair imagineers. Tiki here.
And PerGron.
And welcome to Plus&Us, the show where we decide to talk about some of the stuff that they put on Disney Plus sometimes. Yeah, hell of an intro. All right, PerGron. So this show is definitely kind of something that's gotten me out of the Plus&Us retirement, my friend, because I think at this point Disney Plus is kind of like the laughing stock of the streaming wars as far as original content goes. It's like we had Mandalorian, but let's just run that into the ground in season 3. Let's just make sure that no one's ever going to be interested in that show ever again in season 3. I described the pacing. I'm really proud of this description. The pacing of most of, I would say, both Disney Plus and Marvel shows, for the most part, with some exceptions. It literally falls. It literally feels like you're slowly falling into a coma. I swear to God, that's the reaction I got watching Kenobi, the first episode. I never made it past the first episode of Kenobi because I was like, the pacing in the show is fucking terrible. Just the editing, it's just like there's so much dead space in these cuts. So we have Skeleton Crew now. And I got to tell you, PerGron, I think we've really turned things around here. I think what I really love about Skeleton Crew is that it's like the perfect mirror image to Andor, which is something that's very much like coming at the Star Wars universe from a very kind of like real world sort of war movie spy espionage kind of perspective. And now we got Skeleton Crew, which is kind of like that whimsical Amblin style. And we're doing things with the Star Wars universe that we've really never done before, as far as like building a mystery around a specific planet and kind of like doing kind of really lean into the pirate lore. So we're covering Skeleton Crew episode by episode. And also one of the big reasons, PerGron, and one of the big reasons that I wanted you as my co-host for this is the director lineup on this thing is stacked.
Yeah.
Specifically, we are getting the Daniels directing an episode. I'm going to tell you right now, that right there, the fact that the Daniels are directing an episode, that is the reason that we're doing this show episode by episode. Because I am so freaking curious what that's going to look like.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting pick.
You know what? And I was thinking about this earlier today. If it's literally like the most generic episode of a Disney Plus show ever, I'll be like, well, good for you, boys. You got your paycheck and got out of there.
Right.
You got paid. All right, but anyways, PerGron, let's just dive into it. Episodes 1 and 2. This is going to be kind of a quick conversation. I kind of feel like we're on the same page as most of the general public who are in the show. So we're not really going to go episode by episode. We're just kind of talk like broad spectrum for the 2-part premiere, which I think it was really smart to do this as a 2-part premiere. Sometimes I think that 2-part premieres is just kind of like, all right, just let's get episode 1 and 2 out of the way. Like, honestly, as much as I love Penguin, I even kind of thought that with Penguin a little bit. I was like, okay, like I feel like episode 1 had enough of a hook already that I didn't really need to okay, let's just go next chapter. Like, I do feel like the first few episodes of that show definitely took a while to build momentum, but it kind of felt a little forced with a 2-parter. This, I think, I really don't feel like you have the momentum that you have without this being a 2-parter. I think we got just enough to get a like episode 1 was the world building and the character development. Episode 2 was like, okay, like this is the status quo of what we are and what the show is going to be like. All right, without further ado, PerGron, what is your take on this show?
Yeah, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. This is the type of show that if I was a kid when this came out, it would have had an absolute vice grip on me. And a pirate adventure in Star Wars, those were like the 2 things that got me and my friends on the playground so hyped. So this would have been the Star Wars property for me. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I definitely agree it needed the part 2 or the second episode there. Because while I enjoyed the first episode, I really found the second episode to be like the one that I was into most.
I think episode 1, the thing that really did draw me in right away, number one, the pacing. The pacing was the big thing. I was like, okay, wow, yeah, they're actually like using their cuts well, and like, like I honestly can't tell you how refreshing it is after going through some of this Disney. Like Echo is another one where I just couldn't get past the first episode. I was like, the pacing here is just it's just dead. It's just dead in the water. There's no energy to it, and this just genuinely feels like, you know, a big lavish Spielbergian production with all the music and the quick cuts and
I really liked all of the I did like all the stuff on what is it, Atten.
Atten.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are like bitching about it. It's kind of the one thing that I see the most complaints about is, oh, it's just the suburbs. But
I kind of get that, and I would feel it more if it weren't for the fact that we're building this mystery around
right.
This,
It's also like what? It's like an isolated planet.
Exactly, right.
They use, if we're gonna take Old Republic as in like Old Republic and not like Galactic Republic from the prequels, those credits are ancient, so they've been sitting there a while unattended. There's a reference. I haven't read all of the High Republic stuff, but I've read a little bit about it. The Great Project, or whatever the lady references, is a High Republic thing. So they're at least like, I'm gonna guess like 300 years isolated at this point, based on that knowledge. So like when you have something isolated like that, I can totally see it just like developing Earth society. Like that didn't bother me in the slightest.
I think it's a little bit of a visual shorthand for sure, but I also have heard Jon Watts kind of go on record and say, like, if it didn't start in that kind of familiar 80s suburb setting, you know, if we didn't have like the kids running to the school bus, you know, when they're late for a test and making a shortcut through the woods, like that kind of stuff, you know, basically, I'm pretty sure that Jon Watts kind of set out to make this planet essentially look like the ET suburbs. And
Right.
And Dragon and I made a point when we covered ET on Spielberg Month. Like, my God, that was so long ago at this point. Time is a construct. But we made a point how I think the reason why ET works as well as it does is that it builds a whole world over maybe like a 5-mile stretch of like suburbs and woods and a school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I feel like this just kind of like takes that concept of like having a really fleshed out environment that's really not that big in scope and kind of expanding that scope, but still keeping that suburban feel. All right.
Yeah, I really like that the kids in this are like Star Wars fans. I think that's kind of a fun because I think my biggest issue with how Star Wars has been going recently, and I love Star Wars. I'm a giant Star Wars fan. And I've even liked some of the stuff that other people don't like. Like I like Kenobi. I don't love Kenobi, but I like Kenobi. I love Andor.
Well, yeah, everyone loves Andor.
Right.
That's not a
not Star Wars theory. He didn't like the bricks and screws, but like I even like I enjoyed Ahsoka and stuff like that. But I think the thing I'm liking the most about this is, as of right now, at least, it's a totally different thing. Like, it is not Skywalkers. I'm so fucking sick of the Skywalkers. If I never see another Skywalker again, it'll be too soon. So I like that these, like, it's legends. They're like the Jedi
is going to be Obi-Wan's nephew.
Yeah, fucking. The only connection I'll accept is Neil being Max Rebo's great uncle.
Oh, of course. That's gotta be. We need to tie that loose end. Yeah.
But yeah, I like that they're Star Wars fans. When I was a kid waiting for the bus, my friends and I had lightsaber duels. It was with our sticks that we found on the ground. But yeah, we beat the shit out of each other with our lightsabers because that was fun. I like that they're playing with little toys. I like that he's drawing Jedi in class. Like, it feels very like I can relate to these kids.
Totally, totally.
Which, in the same way that I could relate to Luke in the original movie, he's playing with his little toy ship. He wants to go hang out with his friends. I think that the fact that they're kids and they get to be kids is what kind of endears you to them, rather than just like throwing you into trade negotiations above a planet you've never heard of with Liam Neeson. You know, that's a little more alienating to a general audience. I love the prequels, don't get me wrong, but that's a weird point to jump in for someone who's never been part of this franchise. Like, what the fuck are
Especially
you
like
talking
as
about?
the first part of the first episode.
Right. So, like, if you've never seen Star Wars, like your
Right,
dad
right,
bringing you,
yeah.
he loves Star Wars. It's 1999. Your dad's bringing you out to this. You're going, what the fuck?
Oh, I remember it clearly. The only difference between my experience was like I actually tolerated Jar Jar Binks as a kid.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, at least Jar Jar was funny. I don't know. I've always liked Phantom Menace. I think it has enough high points to really
Yeah.
hold it up as a film, but that start is rough though. That
Yeah.
start is fucking rough.
Like, nowadays, I love the political elements, and I would rather them dig more into it. That's why I like Andor.
Uh-huh.
But I even like Jar Jar. Like, he's nostalgically a character
Jar
that I
Jar has goddamn grown on me so much. I don't
like a fucking fungus.
I'm not gonna follow the herd on this. I actually think that Phantom Menace would be lesser without him.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
Phantom Menace
he
is
might
good.
not be like he's obviously annoying in certain spots, but I feel like he adds a flavor to Phantom Menace that's
Mhm.
totally unique.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Anyways, this is not a
but
Phantom Menace podcast.
no, but like I like that this is like I can see this being a kid's first Star Wars project.
Oh, totally,
I
totally.
can see like, oh, I would love to have like a kid or a niece or nephew or something to sit down with and just watch this show through their eyes. Like, that to me sounds like, and I'm jealous of all the people who have that,
Mhm.
because like this feels like the perfect entry point to Star Wars. Like, it's comfortable enough, it's familiar enough, and it kind of slowly brings you into this world.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So what I really like about the characters, I feel like the dynamics and the personalities are really well balanced here. We have
Hmm.
because I like I like that both the boys and the girls they're kind of like two pairs of best friends that are like really loyal to each other,
Right.
and when they come together they're kind of like that whole montage of like these girls are so stupid, these boys are so stupid. That's such fucking classic like Amblin, like you know like dialogue. It's great, and I
Right.
love the clashing kind of like these two tribes that are going at it but have to work together. um I think out of the four, I think my the big highlight for me out of the four characters is Fern. I really, really like her personality, how headstrong she is. I really feel like she's like that kind of like classic like 80s tomboy archetype, just kind of a
Mm.
boss life. I am genuinely pretty compelled by her Carrie Condon is an actress that I'm always just gonna be like perked up and interested in whenever she pops up after the Banshees of Inisherin.
Right. Right.
So her character hasn't gotten a lot of screen time yet, but I'm more dialed into that character specifically because it's Carrie Condon than I would be
Mm.
otherwise, and I'm kind of interested in seeing like a growth arc because it's clear with those two the little screen time we got. Like I like that Carrie Condon doesn't know really that her daughter has this rebellious side. And I like that the tension there is that Carrie Condon is kind of like pushing this sort of perfectionist mindset onto her daughter, and her daughter's like rejecting it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I like that it's not just like, oh, my daughter's a rebel and that's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
um,
This is the parent. This is the kid that Cyril Karn wishes he was.
oh my god, yes, yes. That's great. um, I think the girl with the visor is what we'll have to see. I think she's
Yeah,
probably
she's definitely the weak link right now.
But I wouldn't
Um,
even call her the weak link. I'd just say like she's got the least development so far. I think especially if we go the route of like, is she a cyborg? Is she technically like Fern's droid to a certain extent?
mhm.
You know, there's
Yeah,
there's interesting stuff we can do with that. You know,
right. I got like Lobot vibes from her.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
think she has a very similar like brain implant or something.
sure.
Um,
But it's clear to me that the guy that stole 1,000,000 hearts, to quote Bonu from Survivor tonight, is Neil. Man,
it's Neil, my boy.
let's what's the fucking let's give space for Neil, just like we're giving space
We're
for
gonna hold space for him.
hold space. Yeah, let's hold space. That's gonna be the new thing now. But seriously, so let's just talk really quick. The holiday special cameo
Mm,
honestly might be the most fun, in your face, in a really delightful way, like Easter egg cameo thing that Disney Star Wars has ever done.
mm,
Like that to me feels as fun as something like Howard the Duck popping up at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, you know?
right.
It's that level of like, oh hell yes, it's awesome to see something like that canon to this universe now.
Yeah, because like they've referenced Life Day a couple times.
Right, right.
Um,
But
and I
that is like the
but like
weirdest of the weird when it
right,
comes
and
to the
it's the
holiday
actual
special stuff.
footage. It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
actual hologram footage. Like they're not just homaging it. It's like that is what Lumpy. I think
Yes.
Lumpy was. Yeah, because it was like before the grandpa watches like hollow porn.
What if the hollow porn was the reference?
Uh, Little Max Rebo's watching.
Oh no! Oh no! You
Dad put on the wrong channel.
oh god! Seriously,
Oh,
can we just get a sitcom about Neil's family, dude?
I would love that.
I
I
would
would.
watch the shit out of that show.
Can we? We should bring B. Arthur from the
Oh
holiday
hell yeah!
special
No,
in next.
honestly, if there is a reference, and this is going to be a spoiler if we do work this question into the debate, because
Hmm.
one of the questions I pitched is what element of the Star Wars Holiday Special should be a major plot point in Skeleton Crew? That is
B.
my
Arthur.
answer. The Arthur, that character. She's basically like the Trevor Slattery of the Star Wars
Mm.
universe. Anyways, let's talk about the relationship between our main hero, who I gotta say, honestly, like, I like that he's like generic hero boy, you know, he's the one that's obsessed with, he's basically the audience surrogate, you know, he's the
Hmm.
one that's obsessed with lightsabers and Jedi and stuff, and that's fun. I like that he's, did you know the actor is the kid who voiced Antonio Madrigal?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, yeah.
I did not know that.
So I thought that was kind of a cool connection. I think he's kind of a little bit too generic hero kid, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Like honestly, even above the cyborg girl, I think he might be the most generic personality of the four of them.
Mm. Yeah,
So
I think he's a little shit, so I didn't mind it that much.
that's totally fair. That's totally fair.
I love a little shit. Like those are my favorite child characters
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
because I was a little shit. So, but
I mean,
like,
I don't know, man. I grew up in the '90s. Like, I don't think this kid is like reaching like '90s Bart Simpson level.
oh no, I'm talking like a little shit lowercase l. Um,
Okay,
but
thank you for that distinction.
I love when he's like, there's a button, and so he pushes it.
No, that's fun. That's fun for
Like
sure.
that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
to me is something I would have done. I would still do
Just the
all
fact
day.
that this entire show just hinges on the fact that he wants to go on a Star Wars adventure, and
Hmm.
he's like just that kind of like kid level of selfish enough to like kind of actively put themselves in that scenario.
Hmm. This is the shit Disney should have done for Galaxy's Edge.
Oh man. Oh, totally, totally.
It
Yeah.
should have been like a your own adventure. That shit
Mhm.
would have with like kids. But yeah, no, he's definitely like the most generic. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
His name's what? Wim or
Win.
Win?
Win,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Um
What do you
But
think
yeah,
of the father, though? Because I think the father is one of the most divisive characters. I don't think the father's necessarily meant to be likable, but I can tell that they're setting him up for a growth arc, and I'm
mhm,
kind of here for it. I think the actor's really committing to the bit. Like,
yeah,
basically, I think the father is like a realistic level of like, overworked dad who loves his kid, but literally does not have time to be emotionally there for him.
mhm,
And I like that. And once again, I kind of feel like I kind of like that. I'm interested to see him and Carrie Condon get together, like in the plot, because I feel like it's going to be an interesting contrast of like he knows his kid is a little shit, right? And
right,
Carrie Condon, she either doesn't know or she has blinders on, and is in denial about it.
mhm.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that kind of like clash of parenting that's going to happen when these two. I'm assuming they're going to team up to try and find the kids. I'm
Right, I
assuming.
hope they get to team up with Neil's family too.
Oh my! Oh hell yes! Hell yes! Oh my god!
I wanna
You
see
just
the
have like
PT
a fucking Rugrats entourage of like dopey adults.
yeah, I wanna see a PTA meeting.
Oh
It's the school board has gathered them, there are 4 missing children.
my god! But the one last note on episode one, I think, is that big test is both like totally like a send up to stuff that you would see in an Amblin movie.
Mhm.
But also like one of the most dystopian things in this, I think that's one of the biggest hints about
Yeah, it was
Adam being like really like what is going like that to me felt straight out of like the Hunger Games era of like teen dystopia novels. Like we're going to
mhm.
take a big test that's going to determine your entire future and worth in
Yeah,
the society.
it reminded me of The Giver.
A little bit, yeah, yeah. So that's interesting for sure. But yeah, so I think episode one just has like the perfect ending point with we've got all that craziness of the ship actually like powering up and then hovering, and we really milk the fact that it's just like, oh my god, it's like it's above ground. We are above ground, people. Holy crap.
Mhm.
And then it just literally takes it up a notch. They just go into hyperspace, and that's the end beat, and they just start screaming. Like I love that. Again, it's the editing, it's the pacing, it's great.
Yeah, and they go to the stars and they're like, "What is that?"
Mhm. All right, so episode two, let's talk about Nick Frost droid, because
Hmm.
this thing I think is going to be like the heart and soul of the whole show, and I'm
The
so
the
here for
droids
it.
always are. I
I
mean,
know.
when you think of the best shows that Disney's done, or like Star Wars has done, I mean, R2's the best character in the saga, like in my opinion. Nobody, even if he's not your favorite, nobody dislikes R2D2.
Mhm, mhm.
Chopper in Rebels is the same way.
Totally,
Um,
totally.
B2 Emo in Andor, K2SO in Rogue One.
Yep.
And now I'm just gonna call him Smee because that's clearly what he's referencing.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I was gonna say the first person who I heard make that comparison, just to give him credit, is Campia, but I'm sure other people have made that comparison. Yes,
Mm,
this character is absolutely just me, and I'm so here for it.
hmm But yeah, I'm excited to get another cool ass droid. I love a cool ass droid. I love a pirate too. I don't want a lot of connections to the show, like to other things.
Mhm.
God, I want to see Hondo. I want to see Hondo so bad.
Yeah, Hondo has been like a running joke with us on the channel. Like, when's he gonna pop up? Like season 3 of Mandalorian, we had like those weak ass pirates, and it's like, okay, like fuck these weak ass pirates. We want to see the pirate.
Mm. Yeah, I think this would be if one character shows up and it's Hondo, I'm cool with that.
I'm totally cool with Hondo showing up. I'm totally cool with Hondo being like the twist big bad.
Yeah, or even just like the good guy. Like imagine if Hondo was. We're all thinking that it's clearly it's clearly what's his name, Jod.
Jude Law's character?
Yeah, Jude Law's.
I don't know what his character's name is yet.
Yeah,
I haven't
but
looked it up on Wikipedia, and he hasn't been officially formally
you haven't been on Wikipedia all day.
That. I'm sorry, PerGron. That's just how I like to consume my media. I like to take the information as it comes to me in the show.
I just looked up Jude Law character name, and it's giving me like the first reference is the Holiday, not Skeleton Crew.
Oh God. But like,
yeah,
what if Jude Law was like just like a total red herring? He gets killed off after like 2 episodes, and then Hondo takes over. Like, all right, follow me, children. We are going on pirate adventure.
Like, imagine it. We all think clearly like the captain that gets mutinied. That's clearly Jude Law. They're trying to hide. It's like hiding. Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Wicked. It's like trying to hide Goldblum in the opening sequence.
Oh my God! Oh, that is
flirting with the wife.
Like, dude, that to me is like the most fucking funny moment of the entire Wicked movie. Just like it's so fucking obviously him.
But like we all know clearly the captain is Jude Law. Like they're not even doing a good job hiding it. Imagine if that is a red herring and just boom, Hondo. That's what I want. But like even here, the pirates were kind of cool. I liked seeing Vane again. One of the few like all right parts of season 3 of The Mandalorian. I like the wolf guy. He's pretty sick.
I mean, I like the fact that when we go down into the pirate planet, it's just like it almost kind of feels like a Guillermo del Toro world, you know, where it's just like all practical stuff. Like,
and
they're
the
really
use
leaning into that with this show.
The use of the volume there was really well done too. Like, it doesn't look like a Kenobi or a Mandalorian. Like, they're clearly improving that technology.
Well, I feel like the best use of the volume is when you mix practical stuff with the expansive background that just fills everything out. And that was a problem with stuff like Mando and Kenobi, is that, like, it was basically just like, it was essentially they were using the volume the same way that they would use green screen, which is just like having an actor and then like an obviously fake rendered background.
Right. You know? Here's a desert. Go stand in it.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, I thought, that pirate planet, just Tortuga in space, was super cool.
Have you seen the Bourne stunt show?
I have not.
Okay, they just spoiler alert for the Bourne stunt show in case Monkey in particular is watching this, because I know he's the one that would be spoiler sensitive to this. The Bourne stunt show uses the volume pretty much.
Oh, does it?
Like a version, like that's how it's able to be as dynamic as it is, like with the action. But anyways, I'm not sure if it's specifically the volume, but it's kind of like a very similar idea. If it's not specifically the volume.
But yeah, the little pirate planet or pirate port or whatever it is, packed full of fucking references. I loved seeing the Teak from the Battle of Endor movie.
Right.
That I watched that movie for the first time 2 years ago, stoned out of my fucking mind. And that was one of the experiences of all time. But I like seeing him show up. I like seeing, what's his name, Fuzzball from Captain EO.
Yes, and the fact that he even has like a little like victory, like escape moment.
Right, like that was super fun. I was kind of hoping he'd join the team, because like I love seeing like a Disney Parks reference.
What if the twist of Addin is literally just that it's the Captain EO universe?
That'd be hilarious. Michael Jackson shows up.
Oh God.
But yeah, there were
Michael Jackson, Captain EO, is being played by the guy who's playing him in the biopic.
In the movie. But they do the weird Luke Skywalker face on it.
Oh God. I think that. And you know what? A lot of people are bitching about like, oh, we got episode 1 is like an hour long, and then episode 2 was a half hour. I feel like episode 2, honestly, was just as long as it needed to be. Because we already got all the heavy lifting with the character and the world building stuff set up in episode 1, right? And I think episode 2, like, it just gives us a taste of the world. It gives us, like, I think it sets up the mystery of Adam, like, really, really well. I mean, I think that is, like, so far, that is my big takeaway with this show, is just how well the mystery has been laid down.
Yeah,
And how I'm here for it. And I think it does that really effectively without, like, here's my whole thing with the episode runtimes. If an episode doesn't need to be an hour long, if it doesn't need to be 45 minutes long, it doesn't have to be. I like shows that are, I feel like Penguin was good at, well, I think mostly Penguin was an hour, but that's, yeah, because that's an HBO show, so that's kind of a little different. But I don't know. I feel like I kind of respect shows sometimes that know when they can have episodes that are a little bit more like, kind of filling in the gap type stuff. And I feel like this episode it was kind of like, it was a little bit of a transition episode. Like, okay, now that they're in space, they've got to hook up with Jude Law. This was the hooking up with Jude Law episode. And I think in doing that, it brought us to a really interesting location. It gave us some continued character development and dynamics. And most importantly, I think with this episode, with the big heavy lifting, it really introduced us to, like, the mystery of what this show is, and the fact that I love how we're on this big adventure, but the most intriguing element of the show is the place that we just left. Like, I think that's a great hook, and that's going to get us more invested in the side of the show that's the adults than I think we would be otherwise. And I think that's a really smart thing to do from a storytelling level, because I think it's going to be pretty obvious that, like, when we cut back to the adults, I feel like that's going to be the less compelling of the two side plots at any given point. But I still think because of the mystery, it'll still be, like, at least on a background level, still interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we got Carrie Condon in those scenes. So,
yeah. All we need is Barry Keoghan.
Right. Oh, God.
I don't think he's allowed on a set near children.
Oh, wow.
Not after Saltburn.
Coming in hot. All right. Okay, so really quick, let's talk about the director lineup we have. Episode 1 was Jon Watts. Episode 2 was David Lowery. David Lowery is such a fucking wild card of a director, I think. Because, like, I really think stuff like A Ghost Story and The Green Knight are just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Peter Pan and Wendy, just some of the worst Disney Plus live action remake slop. Like, awful, just genuinely awful. But I think he did really well here for this episode, and he's directing the next episode as well. And then episode 4 is the Daniels episode, which I'm obviously stoked for.
Right, and watch it just get fucking wild.
I hope so, dude. I hope so. Episode 5 is let's see, Jake Schreier. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Who he's doing Thunderbolts Asterix.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's definitely the one I'm least excited about, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know. At least it'll be kind of interesting to give us a taste of what his directing style is like.
He did some episodes of Beef. I don't know if you watched Beef.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did watch Beef. Okay. So if that's where he got hired out of, then that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That makes me a little bit more optimistic. Bryce Dallas Howard is interesting because as of now, I kind of feel like I've never bought her as, like, a serious actress. I'm sorry. It's like she is very much like on that Nepo baby kind of spectrum of she would not be as successful as she was if it weren't for her connection. But with Star Wars, I think she's proven herself to be specifically a really good Star Wars director.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I do think that at this point she's kind of like almost sort of like the Michelle McLaren of Disney Plus Star Wars, where she's just like a very reliable person to throw in, and you know she's going to do a really good job. So I think that's a really interesting career trajectory for her. But
yeah, she did the best episode of Boba Fett, the one where Boba Fett wasn't in it.
Exactly. I think consistently, like when she pops up, her episodes are among the best of any given season, especially
Hmm.
the Mando stuff. Then Lee Isaac Chung, just really, really interesting to see him in there as well. He already did an episode of The Mandalorian. I think his episode was one of the best of The Mandalorian season 3, if
Hmm.
I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it was the one in on Coruscant, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that was. I don't think that episode went anywhere in regards to
Hmm.
the overall like narrative of the season, but my god, the narrative of that season was just
All over the
genuinely
fucking place.
awful. But I think as a standalone episode, it was really good.
Yeah. He also
And
did Twisters, which was fucking fun as hell.
yeah, exactly. And Minari is like, like kind of like slow blockbuster,
Hmm.
or not blockbuster, but slow like Oscar kind of.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he can
And
do
then
both.
back to good old Jon Watts.
Hmm. Did you watch Cop Car?
I did not.
Dude, everyone needs to fucking get on Cop Car. That is the reason why we have the Spider-Man movies. That movie is fucking excellent.
Hmm.
It's got Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is I think there's a big reason why Jon Watts was chosen for this show. And honestly, I think it's more Cop Car than the Spider-Man movies. Because Cop Car is very much like the premise of that movie is that these two kids in the 80s, they find essentially Kevin Bacon is a corrupt cop. He's I think he's out in the woods burying a body, if I'm remembering correctly.
Hmm.
And so he leaves his cop car unattended for like a little bit of time to go bury this body. The kids find the cop car in the woods with the keys in it, stupidly on Kevin Bacon's part, and they go for a joyride. And Kevin Bacon is not happy, and he's pursuing them throughout the movie, and it's fucking excellent. And Kevin Bacon is like a really, really memorable villain. I think Kevin Bacon was also one of the best parts of Maxine, by the way.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, it's got that kind of Spielberg sort of Stand By Me vibe to it, Uh,
Hmm.
so I would highly recommend seeing Cop Car, especially if you want to get a sense of like Jon Watts doing this specific kind of like dark 80s, like adventure with children in the lead roles. I really think the more I think about it, that's really what got him this job. And I think that's great because, frankly, with the Spider-Man stuff and then, like Wolves was just not great. I really want him to direct another thing like Cop Car. And I think this is kind of a step back into that direction, even if it's fucking Star Wars, which is arguably just as mainstream as Spider-Man. So,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I already think it's off to a better start than those Spider-Man movies.
I've never been like majorly thrilled about his Spider-Man movies, honestly.
No, like I thought Homecoming was all right as like a Spider-Man movie. I thought No Way
I
Home
feel like
was
the scene in the car with Michael Keaton is like the one scene that is
mm,
memorable in Homecoming,
yeah,
honestly.
I liked it because Iron Man's my favorite, so I like
Mhm.
seeing Iron Man. um,
Wow.
I liked No Way Home in the theater in the moment.
Yeah, but that movie does not fucking
It
hold
does
up.
not hold up.
Absolutely not.
It's an event film.
Uh-huh.
It's an event film like Endgame. It's an event film like Deadpool and Wolverine, where they're a lot of fun in the theater, but they just don't hold up as much.
Sure.
Although Deadpool and Wolverine was fun, was still funny on rewatch. But like Endgame, I haven't watched it since it came to Disney
And
Plus.
Endgame is so disappointing too because Infinity War is also obviously like a big event movie.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
movie's
good.
so much
It's
fucking
like
better as a
it's
film.
a really good movie.
Yeah. No, it's I just recently like Endgame actually comes on TV quite a bit when I'm doing my caregiving with my brother and we'll just like try and find stuff to watch on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I'll be like, this is just not it. Like this is just like I mean, it's yeah, that movie was just big letdown. I think the more that Because at the time, everyone was focused on like, oh my god, the fucking portal scene.
Right. If they just released the portal scene as a short film,
Exactly.
we're good. There it is.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited that Jon Watts gets to do something good. The director lineup is crazy. Looking into it, apparently Jake Schreier and Jon Watts are good friends.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because I was looking at he did Robot and Frank, and Jon Watts gets a special thank you credit in that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I guess they're buddies.
Okay, nice.
So that gives them, that's probably why he got in. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Daniels episode. I'm always looking forward to Bryce Dallas Howard.
I'm excited about the show in general. Like, I feel like next week is going to be really exciting just to get to know who the fuck Jude Law is. I mean,
right,
he's going to be the captain, obviously.
Right. I'm excited to see like a pirate with the Force. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's a Jedi." No, he's not a fucking Jedi. He's obviously not a Jedi.
Yeah.
He just has the Force. People are allowed to have the Force and not be a Jedi or a Sith. Like,
exactly.
Like, that's so stupid that everyone's like, "Oh, if he's not a Jedi, he's a Sith." Like, no, he's clearly neither. Like, and if he does turn out to be like a survived youngling or something from the temple, that's honestly going to be disappointing.
No, I feel you.
Like, I'd rather him just be like a dude who has the Force, because it's a galaxy full of dudes who have the Force. Like, and if you had that power as a kid, why wouldn't, and you're not training at the Jedi Temple, why the hell wouldn't you go be a pirate? I'd be a pirate if I had that kind of power. I'd be tricking people and stealing shit. Like, absolutely. So I just hope he's just like a dude. That's the end game for me. I just want him to be like kind of a scummy dude.
Like, I want him to kind of be like the John Silver kind of like scummy dude, but also like
with a heart of gold.
Every time he's on screen, he's super endearing at the same time.
Yeah, I want like a scummy dude with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Which I think is what we're gonna get. I mean, I think Jude Law would play that perfectly. I'm happy that he gets a second chance of playing a Captain Hook type figure.
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Because Peter Pan and Wendy sucked, but he was the best part of it. Yeah, apparently it's not the same species, Little Blue.
Apparently not. Yeah,
it clearly is, but then they realize that Max Rebo walks on his hands, and they're like, "Fuck." They were like, "Oh fuck yeah, people love Max Rebo. This is gonna be awesome." And then they looked at like Ralph McQuarrie's designs or something, like, shit. No, he's not Max Rebo, guys. He's a different blue alien that looks like an elephant. I think it's Hooter's character from Captain EO. I think it's that species. Personally,
I mean, again, I feel like this show is like kind of like a backdoor pilot to introducing Captain EO stuff into Star Wars canon.
Captain EO.
You know what? I'm totally fine with that.
Captain EO is the dancing Jedi. Give it to me.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, no, but seriously, like, because you mentioned, like the idea of like genre hopping in Star Wars, right? Star Wars Footloose, but fucking Captain EO is Kevin Bacon. I mean, that's basically what Captain EO is, anyways. It's like a very large-scale Footloose.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. They both include a zealot at the top. But yeah,
Little Blue. There is a character in Captain EO that does make a cameo in this. And just to answer your question, we are really liking it. I feel like I feel like the best way to sum up my thoughts on the show, and we can kind of fold this into our final thoughts, unless you have any other observations.
Yeah, I just wanted to real quick say, I've already talked to you about this, but for anybody watching who is a Star Wars fan, Star Wars should get weird a little bit. Like I was saying earlier in the podcast, we don't need more Skywalkers. If they want to do an animated,
like at this point, we don't need more fucking Mandalorian shit either.
No, God, give us the movie, and then be done with it. But I like if they wanted to do like a Luke Skywalker Clone Wars animated series in the middle of the war, fine. But I don't need more live action Skywalkers. I want to see weird shit. I want to see a Star Wars horror movie. I want to see a Star Wars Footloose. I want to see Star Wars Treasure Island, which seems like what we're getting.
I think this is Star Wars Goonies.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I want a little bit of Treasure Island in there. But
well, I mean, I feel like it's just like the smorgasbord. Like we got the Smee character.
Yeah, like give us Star Wars Muppet Show. Give us like an SNL but Star Wars. Give us like
this is essentially Star Wars Stranger Things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us Star Wars rom-com. I want to see When Harry Met Wookiee.
Oh God!
Like I want to see, or I guess Wookiee would be Harry when Wookiee met Sally. Like give us weird shit, and I think this is kind of, at least for right now, at least with these first two, it seems to be giving us a little bit of that genre differentiating from being, oh, it's Skywalker again. Watch Luke Skywalker show up at the fucking end. Watch it happen.
Oh God. Don't jinx it.
But yeah, I think as long as this keeps being like its own thing. Again, Hondo can show up. I'd love Hondo to show up. We can keep getting things tying the universe together, but we don't need Ahsoka. We don't need. She's in another galaxy, so she can fuck off. She can stay there. We don't need Ezra. We don't need Luke. We don't need Han Solo. We don't need any of it. Like, make this a self-contained thing, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And I hope it stays that way. But yeah, Lucasfilm, I know you're watching. Kathleen Kennedy, I know you're a big fan of the channel. So yeah, make weird shit.
All right. Okay, Fraser Crane in Star Wars. I feel like C-3PO is pretty much the All right. Well, yeah, but yeah, Little Blue. What I was going to say with my, I think my final thought on this is, I feel like this show is taking the same box in the opposite direction that Andor takes, where Andor is kind of like that sophisticated kind of, prestige TV, like war drama, espionage sort of vibe. And this is like the complete opposite direction, but it's the opposite direction in a great way. Like, I really feel like this show feels inspired. Like, this show does not feel like a Moana 2 situation where it's like, shit, guys, we literally have to have money. We have to have money coming into Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah, if anything, this is like a huge risk. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like an Andor in that it's a risk. This could not
even
hit.
Andor, though, was kind of like,
it's an established character,
yeah, you're doing it based on the Rogue One guy, okay.
But like Kenobi, as much as like I love Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, I'm happy to see them in everything. Give me When Harry Met Sally with them. But
Kenobi should have been a movie. Let's just there's no other way around. Kenobi should have been a movie, and little Leia should not have been the main focus.
No. Kenobi should have been a movie. Ahsoka should have been a animated sequel to Rebels.
I don't know about that. I think one of the appeals of Ahsoka was just bringing a lot of the Filoni stuff into live action.
Yeah,
I have fun with that element.
I don't like Dave Filoni, so I don't really care. Or I don't like his live action
stuff. I don't really care for Filoni either, honestly, but I did watch all of Rebels in anticipation for Ahsoka, so I did have fun with it's Clancy Brown's character in live action.
Yeah,
that's fun,
that's fair. But I don't know. I think Star Wars is just they've kind of overdone it a little bit, and it's nice that they're taking kind of a different approach. And taking a little bit of a risk, because we could easily get Glup Shido the movie, and all of a sudden it's the Max Rebo band, but turns out that they're teaming up with the Mandalorian and Yoda's ghost and fucking Cad Bane, who's back from the dead again.
Oh my god!
Like, and they all go on like an adventure to go save baby Princess Leia. Like, that's all. That could be what they give us. So I like that it's.
Oh man!
But yeah, I like that they're taking a little risk, and not like an Acolyte risk where they had no idea where they were going with it.
The Acolyte was too much. It was just like the Acolyte was like what people thought the Last Jedi was at first.
Yeah.
No, guys, you're overreacting as far as the Last Jedi goes. But the Acolyte was all that personified.
Yeah, I love, like, The Last Jedi is my favorite of the Star Wars movies. Not the best. I always have to preface this. Not the best, but my favorite. I did not like the Acolyte. I could not get into the Acolyte.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever actually had a full in-depth conversation about The Last Jedi, but I'm on the same page with you about it. I think just as far as I think the humor is definitely one of the things that makes rewatches of The Last Jedi a little bit difficult. I think Finn's storyline is obviously the wink link of that movie, but like, my God, all of the Luke Skywalker on the island stuff, all of the Kylo Ren stuff. I mean, there's so much, all of the visuals, like there's so much of that movie that just holds up so well.
Yeah, Yoda's scene is my favorite scene in Star Wars.
The same, honestly. Did we just become best friends?
I think we did.
Yup. All right. All right. On that note, guys, I think we're going to end it out. Big thanks to Eli for joining us in the comments. And we should be back every week covering this episode by episode. Looking forward to it, considering the stacked directors lineup.
Yeah.
So that's it. Plus&Us outro. Yeah. I don't have it. I'm sorry.
We'll get it next time.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. See you later.
Love you all. Bye-bye.